Hey guys, welcome back to the Engage Your Destiny podcast. Ben Peterson here. It is my honor to be with you once again this week and to tell you an incredible story of a world changer and how she found her significance. But before I get to that, I just want to take a minute and talk about the Engage Your Destiny book, Practical Ways to Run After Your God-Given Purpose. Guys, we have sold over 2,500 copies of this book. I think the average for a first-time author is around 200 to 300 copies. So I am so proud of the work that God has done through this book and the incredible testimonials that we've gotten of people that are like, dude, this book is legit. It is lit. All right. So we have been giving out copies. We've given out over 1,000 copies to active duty soldiers all over the country. And so if you want to support the great work that Engage Your Destiny is doing, a great first step is to go and get a copy of Engage Your Destiny, Practical Ways to Run After Your God-Given Purpose, wherever books are sold, Amazon, online, anywhere. Okay. Now, getting into our topic, we've been in this series that if ChatGPT were Satan, how would he destroy our generation? So let's get after it.
This is the Engage Your Destiny podcast, where your destiny is our mission. Serving our active military, veterans, and families. Welcome to the show.
So if ChatGPT were Satan, what he said was he would distract us with instant gratification. He would make us prefer quick fixes over the patience required to develop deep and meaningful relationships. Satan would overload our schedules with academic, social, and extracurricular pressures, leaving little room for spiritual practices like prayer, worship, and study. He would make social media and entertainment so addictive that we don't even notice our faith is slipping slowly into the background. And so I want to bring us today back to significance over things that are going to waste our time, all right? And that's why I want to tell you guys first about Clara Barton, who is known as the angel of the battlefield during the Civil War. She had an extraordinary life that was filled with courage and significance. So one story from the Battle of Antietam, as she was just getting going with her work, it shows her faith and her significance. As the Union and Confederate armies clashed in Maryland, Clara Barton arrived at the battlefield with a wagon full of medical supplies. She had no official role with the military, but felt this compulsion to help. The scene was so horrific, there were soldiers laying in the fields, moaning in pain, many having gone hours or days without medical care. Amidst the chaos, as bullets whizzed past her and the men, they were crying out for pain, and she would pause to pray quietly over wounded soldiers. A soldier later recalled how Barton's presence seemed almost supernatural, as if she knew that she was being protected. And Barton often said that she felt God's hand guiding her with her steps and her moves to keep her from getting shot or blown up. Barton moved fearlessly through the chaos, delivering bandages, water, and comfort to the wounded. At one point, while tending to a soldier, a bullet passed through her sleeve and killed the man that she was helping. Undeterred, she kept working, dressing wounds, distributing supplies, and even organizing makeshift surgeries. Her dedication earned her the respect of generals and soldiers alike, and she would later reflect that Antietam was the most intense and exhausting experience of her life, yet her bravery saved countless lives. One more battle to tell you about. So she was in the Battle of Fredericksburg, and she once again found herself in incredible danger to help wounded soldiers. So this town of Fredericksburg had become a complete war zone. The streets turned to legitimate rivers of blood as Union troops faced devastating losses. When Barton arrived, she found that many soldiers had been left behind as the Union army retreated. There's just bodies everywhere. Barton immediately sprang into action, gathering supplies and volunteers to cross back into the embattled town. She went into the fight. Despite activity artilleries, fire, and sniper threats, she moved from house to house, turning abandoned buildings into makeshift hospitals. With resources scarce, Barton improvised. She used corn husks for bandages. She tore up carpets into cushion and wounded soldiers to help them as they were lying on cold floors. In one moment, Barton was seen cradling a dying soldier when a cannonball crashed through the wall beside her, showering her with debris. Miraculously, she was unhurt. She refused to leave until the man had passed peacefully in her arms. Her courage in Fredericksburg became legendary. Soldiers would later recall that she was so calm, she was so determined, she was so fearless, and that brought so much hope in the midst of unimaginable suffering. And she said, "You must never think of anything except the need and how to meet it." And this defined her extraordinary life of service. What is the need and how do I meet it? That is the life of significance. Now, this also fueled her compassion. She didn't discriminate when it came to Union and Confederate soldiers or black or white, anything. She believed that every life had value because every person was created by God. This belief shaped her understanding of mercy and justice, ultimately influencing her founding of the American Red Cross, an organization dedicated to serving people regardless of background or belief. After years of being in war, Barton reflected that her faith was not just a comfort, but her faith was a duty. It was a calling. It was a calling to meet the greatest human need with courage, with love, and her life stands as a powerful example of faith in action. And guys, that's what faith is. It is action. So after the Civil War, Clara Barton dedicated herself to helping families locate missing soldiers, a task that consumed much of her time and her energy, and her health suffered. She was exhausted and she went to Europe to recover for a period of time. And while she was there, she encountered something that would change her life forever. The International Red Cross during that time was in Switzerland, and she learned about the Geneva Convention, an agreement that established the Red Cross as a neutral organization, which could be dedicated to providing humanitarian aid during the war. This concept resonated deeply with her, and she had been firsthand watching the suffering that war could bring. She volunteered with the International Red Cross during the Franco-Prussian War in 1870 and 1871, where she witnessed legitimately how these organized aid efforts saved countless lives. So now Barton's like, dude, I'm bringing the Red Cross to America. So she was inspired by what she saw, and she returned to the United States with a new mission to establish the branch of the Red Cross in her homeland. But she faced significant resistance. Many Americans believed that such an organization was unnecessary since the United States was not frequently involved in wars. But she was undeterred. She had a vision for what she was believing for. And she passionately argued that the Red Cross could also provide aid during natural disasters, a concept that was not yet part of the organization's mission. Her vision proved vital in gaining support for what would change our nation. For years, she met with politicians, writing letters, and giving speeches. Finally, in 1881, at the age of 60, she founded the American Red Cross and became the first president to work and expand its mission beyond wartime aid. Under her leadership, the organization responded to crises like floods, earthquakes, and hurricanes. This was groundbreaking expansion for how you could serve and love people, to see the need and then to fulfill the need. Now, the defining moment for the Red Cross was what's called the Johnstown flood in 1889. So their reputation was solidified during this flood, which is one of the nation's deadliest disasters that we've ever seen. On May 31st, 1889, there was a massive flood that took place in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Now, this was a thriving steel town. It was nestled in a narrow valley above the town that sat at the South Fork Dam. And now this town, it held an artificial lake that was known as Lake Conemaugh. And wealthy industrialists like Andrew Carnegie and Henry Clay Frick had transformed the lake into a resort for the elite. But they had neglected crucial repairs of the dam structure. On May 31st, 1889, after days of relentless rain, the dam gave way. An estimated 20 million tons of water, roughly the volume of Niagara Falls flowing for 36 minutes, surged into this valley at speeds reaching 40 miles an hour. This wall of water obliterated everything in its path. Homes, businesses, railroads, bridges. Dude, entire neighborhoods were swept away. Some survivors described people riding rooftops downstream, desperately clinging to debris. Now, by the time the floodwaters reached Johnstown, over 2,200 people had died, making it the deadliest flood in U.S. history. At the time, bodies were found as far as Cincinnati, Ohio. That's over 350 miles that bodies were carried. That's how powerful this flood was. So Barton, of course, you guys get the story, man. She flew into action when she learned about this disaster. She mobilized the Red Cross, which had only been founded for about 8 years, and she was 67 years old. Barton personally led a relief effort of over 50 volunteers right into the eye of the storm, into the wreckage. The Red Cross first major disaster relief effort. Johnstown was literally destroyed with debris, twisted steel, broken homes, bodies buried in the mud. Disease threatened to spread rapidly, and survivors were left homeless, hungry, and traumatized. Barton and her team, man, they established makeshift hospitals. They distributed food and clothing. They organized shelter for thousands of displaced families. And the Red Cross stayed in Johnstown for 5 months, helping to rebuild homes. They provided emotional support, and they brought order to the chaos. Dude, the lasting impact of this tireless work was a widespread admiration. More importantly, it solidified the American Red Cross as a trusted national relief organization, one that could respond to disasters in wartime and beyond. This broadened the mission and became central to the Red Cross's identity, ensuring that the futures of what would take place for victims of fires, floods, and earthquakes, that they would receive this aid. Reflecting on the whole experience, Barton wrote, "I found Johnstown, a city of ruin and despair, and I left it a city of homes and hope." Dude, this took remarkable leadership, compassion, and ability to inspire others. And it's a testament to her lifelong commitment to serving and to living a life of significance. So I want to take a few minutes and I want to talk to you guys about significance. Because Clara Barton lived a life of extreme significance where you see a need and then you go and you fulfill the need, and you're living with your eyes open to see these needs. And in order to see a need, you have to have interest in life. You have to have interest in the things that are before you. You have to be paying attention to what is going on. The research that has come out in the last year around technology and around our cell phones is undeniable of how technology actually makes us lose interest in life. And guys, I've felt it. I have felt it in times where I would rather look at my phone than go and hang out with my family. I'd rather look at my phone than go and spend time with people. And I've noticed this within myself, dude. I've noticed, like, where is my drive and my zeal and my lust for life and to run after God and to seek things that are real? And I keep being drawn back to my phone. And I dove into this and I'm like, man, if I'm feeling this, I can't imagine how other people are feeling it, or even younger people that grew up with the cell phone. And so there are characteristics that are taking place that I want to talk to you guys about as to how the cell phone and technology is making us lose interest in living our lives. First, we get an actual dopamine overload and desensitization through using our phones, okay? So especially social media, gaming apps, and endless scrolling, they trigger frequent dopamine releases, which is the pleasure part of your brain. This is the brain's feel-good chemical. This constant stimulation can lead to dopamine desensitization, where everyday activities like reading, exercising, socializing, things that take time to do, they feel less rewarding by comparison. As a result, simple joys like conversations or hobbies or spending time outdoors, it can start to feel dull and uninteresting because these phones are making us so focused on things that just meet this immediate gratification. Number two, it reduces our attention span. These constant notifications and quick video clips and instant gratification, they condition our brain to expect fast, now, happening now, frequent stimulation. And it can make slower paced activities like reading a book or working on a project feel frustrating or boring. We can also get number 3, mental fatigue. See, this excessive screen use overstimulates the mind. It leaves little room for the rest of life and reflection, and this constant cognitive overload can lead to burnout, making everyday responsibilities seem overwhelming. The phones can make us disconnect from the present. Overuse of screens can create a habit of passive consumption. You're just consuming rather than being an active participant. And this can cause you to miss out on meaningful moments, like from casual conversations or memorable experiences. It makes life feel less engaging. Number 5, we experience sleep disruption. The blue light from screens, which suppresses melatonin, that affects sleep quality. Why do you think people supplement melatonin? This impacts our mood, our energy, wanting to go after life. Number 6, we experience social isolation. Now, while phones offer this connection, excessive use can ironically weaken real-life relationships. Relying on digital interactions can reduce meaningful face-to-face engagement. It leaves us feeling disconnected from our surroundings. And lastly, we can have a loss of purpose and productivity. Constant distraction from screens can pull away from the focus of our goals or activities and that sense of achievement that leads to feelings of stagnation and apathy. Now, God's word says that to him who's able to do exceedingly abundantly above anything that we could ask, think, or imagine, according to the power that works in us, may him be the power and the glory forever and ever and ever. So this power, okay, the power that works in us, what power is this? Dude, it's the Spirit of the living God that is living inside of us. Not the spirit of the world that is leading us into technology, but it is the Spirit of the living God. So God is able, he's able to do exceedingly above anything that you can ask, want, think, or imagine, okay? According to the power that works in us. So guys, if that power is not working in you, the power and the Spirit of the living God, you are not going to experience the exceedingly abundantly above anything that you could ever ask, want, think, or imagine. And I want you to think about Clara Barton. I want you to think about the real needs that she saw in front of her of men dying on the battlefield. And she said, I see this need, okay? I am going to go fulfill it. And so often we are asking, what is God's will for my life? What is his plan for my life? What am I supposed to do? And it's like, well, he's given you eyes to see. But the problem is your eyes are so focused on digital content that is there to entertain you and distract you. It keeps you from seeing what is actually going on in the world and what God could be putting right in front of you in order for you to go and fulfill it. You see, what's the whole point of this podcast? If ChatGPT were Satan, how would he try and destroy our generation? Through instant gratification. So this phone is bringing us this instant gratification, and it's pulling us away from the real significance that Clara Barton lived with. And she founded an organization that has changed the world and made more of an impact than she could have imagined. And it was done through her faith. She exercised all of these things on a daily basis with her faith. And that's where I'm calling you to gain more self-awareness around your use of technology and your use of how you spend your time, how you go about your day, what you're focused on, what's feeding you, how much time are you putting in front of that screen? Because I guarantee you, if you are letting your self-control get out of control with your phone usage, you will find yourself slinking and slipping deeper and deeper into less interest and passion for life. Why does this matter? Because there is a world that needs hope. There is a world that needs Jesus. There is a world that needs what God has placed inside of you. And right now, in this moment, God is calling you deeper into relationship with him where he can fulfill you in a way that a phone never can, and that technology never can, and that video games never can, and that a social media app never could. He's calling you into that relationship. And so let us today get wise about the ways that the enemy is trying to steal, kill, and destroy from us, okay? and get strong about what God is calling us to, a life of significance, of seeing a need and going and fulfilling the need. So Lord, open our eyes. Help us to see what you want us to see. Help us to believe what you've called us to believe and to live our lives in faith. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much, you guys, and we'll see you again soon.